Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the Ghostfire Media with TNR on GFM here. Say race number 5, the 2022 Winter Series. We're here at the Charlotte Roval. I'm Nick Adams. Randy Pepper will join us in a few minutes. He's just finishing a phone call with the one and only Pat Patterson. We join. Oh, hold. Let me unmute you. Go ahead, Randy.
Go ahead.
Hey, just want to say good evening, everybody. It's going to be a fun race. The Roval, always a great race. It was a great call this year on the Performance Racing Network. We had our share of activity, but it was not as much of a test as a few years before. In fact, a little bit of a snoozer. But it was a fun race, no doubt about that. And I'm sure you guys are going to have fun with it tonight. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah. We're going to have a lot of fun tonight. Pat will let you go back to your homestead in beautiful Phoenix. And thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for joining us, Pat.
Everybody have fun and talk to you.
Talk to you soon, man. Take care.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, it was very cool. Sorry about the late start here, everybody. We come in right at qualifying. We had technical issues. I had technical issues of my own. Randy Pepper is here, but he might be out of here at some point tonight. It's going to be a fun one. I hope you're all buckled in and have some snacks, because we're going to be here for about 2.5 hours.
According to Pat Patterson, he said 3 hours or more. And I think he knows more about this track than we do, that's for sure.
I love the Roval. Well, the good thing is about this is I don't believe we have cautions.
Well, that's good.
So if that's the case, then the Roval will be fine.
That would be nice, yes. So
let me get our stages and everything for you all tonight. We have 3 stages tonight. Lap number 20 will be the end of stage 1. 40 will be the end of stage 2. And then a 27-lap shootout to the end of the race. 67 laps here at the Charlotte Roval. 100% fuel. It's a balmy 75 degrees, 71% humidity. 11-mile-an-hour wind out of the north-northeast here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Oh, hold on. Wait. I got to do it like Justin Roberts. Charlotte, North Carolina. There you go. You happy, Randy? I did it your AEW way.
It's actually, you were actually a little short.
Oh, sorry. We're here in beautiful North Carolina.
It's Carolina.
I do love the way Justin Roberts does that. Justin Roberts is one of like the most underrated wrestling announcers ever of all time. I mean, between the way he used to do the Heartbreak Kid, the way he used to do Triple H, John Cena, Randy, I mean, just the big names in the sport, the way he used to do them was unbelievable. Yep. We look at Dana Shepard. He's going to run a 127.88. We're looking at Richard Swaverly, Randy Pepper. Where did this speed come from out of our boy? But then we look now at the front of the pack at Zach Wilson. His first lap's a 122.53. Richard Swaverly on a 123.38. Let's see if we can find out where he lost time. So, Randy, this is the beautiful thing about how we can tell where he lost time at. So he lost a lot of time in Sector 1. Lost about a half a second. He gained a tenth of a second back in Sector 2. And then in Sector 3, he was unable to. He drops down to 4th now. Let's see where he comes out on his second lap here, though. Not going to improve. We look at Zach Wilson and Eric Schaefer. Let's see how close they are, Randy. So, you can see Zach Wilson, it looks like, gained himself a good fair bit of time in the first sector. The second sector, they were about even. The sectors here are incorrect, though, because there's definitely, should be taking longer than that. So these sectors are incorrect. Joe Sanchez, he jumps to a provisional pole, Randy Pepper. You didn't die on me, did you? Okay, I thought you lost power.
I'm still here. I know. Yeah, folks. I am in Daytona Beach, Florida, where Jim Cantori has shown up, and it's never a good thing when Jim Cantori shows up to your town when there's a hurricane approaching.
There we go, everybody. We just fixed this. So we'll go through the corner cameras we have here in a moment. As we come through 5 and 6, you see our drone camera through 5 and 6. Then we have our drone cameras through the center of the track. Then NASCAR 3 and 4. You'll see these guys come through here. I'm sorry, we're 1 and 2. Then we get the backstretch chicane down here. You see the drivers coming in. And then we turn to the bus stop exit. We'll see that all throughout the evening. Then into NASCAR 3 and 4. Through NASCAR 3 and 4, as they exit the area, you'll see them come into the final chicane. He's going to enter your screen stage left. And then right to the starter cam to turn 1. Comes through turn 1 into turn 2. Then we go to turn 3, which shows you the turn 2 exit and the turn 3 entrance. See if we can get somebody who's on their lap here. We'll look at Jesse Prees as he's on his second lap. So he's going to come out of turn 1, full throttle, down the hill into turn 3 to the right-hand turn, to go up the hill to turn 4, to come back down the right-hand turn again through turn 5, back down all the way out to the grass, into turn 6, through the S's now as we come up to turn 7. You see him turn left to turn 7. Then we come through the Roval exit here onto the high bankings of the Charlotte Roval. Through NASCAR 1 and 2. We're going to have more camera angles for you to see throughout the evening. You're not just going to be seeing this. And then we jump on to this one, the backstretch chicane. Again, to the bus stop exit. You see them exit stage left, and they enter stage right. This is obviously not how we're going to call the race for you folks, but we're just showing you all of our beautiful camera angles you get to see tonight. This is going to be a good battle cam from we have battles coming through the final chicane, and then right to the starter cam. And then we have our TV cameras as well. So this is going to be our beautiful, this is what I call the Fox camera. We have the NBC camera. And we have what I believe TNT would use if we still had NASCAR on TNT.
That's funny because me and Pat were talking about that yesterday because he did so many broadcasts on TNT.
So I'll be honest with you. I really do like this camera angle. I always liked how close up and personal the TNT broadcasts were with the car. So you'll see a lot of this throughout the evening when we have battles side by side. But you're also going to get to look at our beautiful onboard cameras. We'll take you through a ride here on the second half of the lap. We'll take you from the roof of this number 19 car of Brad Fulham as he exits the backstretch chicane off into turns 3 and 4. Randy Pepper knows this. I'm the street racer of the crew.
Yes.
So this is what I love.
Yeah.
And we come off into the front stretch chicane, hard braking all the way down to second gear, sometimes first, depending on if you're too wide. You come out here. You don't want to be in first all the time in these Xfinity cars because you'll spin those back tires up. And obviously down into the Tums heartburn turn, harden the brakes through the throttle. We're going to go on board Tony Kivet here as he's through the infield section. He's slow right now. I don't think he's going on a fast lap. Brandon Burt here in the Budweiser car, the Budweiser Toyota Camry. Toyota Supra. That just makes me.
That's goofy.
That makes me upset.
Budweiser on a Toyota?
That makes me upset.
Joe Glenn would be very upset to see that.
Budweiser on a Toyota with. I think this wrote that paint.
That's a throwback for sure.
And then we cut. Oh, qualifying is over, so I can't show you this lap, but we'll show you the warm-up lap here with the drivers on board. I don't have points for everybody this week. Like I said, we had a lot of technical issues this afternoon. It took me 45 minutes to get the sim to open for us. So
Yeah, something with that new update has messed with some people's stuff. I know.
yeah, I need to figure that out because I make my return to racing this week on Thursday nights. So
Oh, getting back behind the wheel once
I'm
again.
getting back behind the saddle in a super speedway league because, as you and me both know, I do love myself some super speedway racing as well.
What do you race? 3 tracks?
4: Atlanta, iRacing, Talladega, and Daytona.
Wow, that sounds like fun.
I really
does
love
sound-
super speedway racing.
Yeah, that sounds like fun.
Super speedway racing is just freaking awesome.
Definitely anybody's race, is for sure.
Well, what I like about super speedway racing, and we have a little bit of time to talk here because we're going to have a 5-minute warm-up lap. Super speedway racing is really it's the great equalizer. I think, in my opinion, though, it's the second great equalizer. The actual great equalizer is road course racing. Because you'll notice when you come to a road course, you go to Atlanta, AJ Allmendinger in the Cup Series may not be fighting for the win. But
What neat cars?
you go to a road course, all of a sudden AJ Allmendinger might be fighting for that win.
Especially in like these cars.
Yeah.
It's
So
really good in these cars.
you go to a road course and it brings the talent out in drivers that don't have the talent to be like the best in the world on ovals. But road courses, it's just the level playing field. It really is. It doesn't matter about equipment. It's about talent when that comes down to that. But our starting grid for the evening, Randall. Are you ready to find out where everybody qualified?
I am, absolutely.
Joe Sanchez qualifies in the pole. Zach Wilson in second. Cody Kinsey third. Eric Schaefer in fourth. Brandon Banks in fifth. Kevin Delia sixth. Richard Swaverly in seventh. Casey Soch in eighth. Back in ninth going to be Jesse Prees. 10th going to be Kip Easley. 11th Brady Cox. 12th Tony Kivett. 13th Jacob Denson. 14th David Brackett. 15th Matt Grenier. 16th Brad Fulham. Back in row 9 Tyler Murray and Jason Hastings. And 19th and 20th will be William Tyndall and Michael Newbrow. 21st and 22nd will be Dana Shepard and Robert Rowe. 23rd and 24th, Scott Feltz and Ray Rogers. 25th and 26th will be Dylan Hastings and Stephen Ayers. 27th will be Jermaine Gibbs. 28th, Charlie Harcum. 29th, Brandon Burt. Rounding out the field. And 30th, Eric Stewart. Speaking of Gibbs, I don't believe that Jermaine Gibbs has any relation to the NASCAR Gibbs family. But Coast Fire Media wants to send our deepest condolences to Joe Gibbs and his entire family, the entire organization over at Joe Gibbs Racing, the drivers, the sponsors, everybody involved who met Coy Gibbs. I met him once. The man was an absolutely charismatic legend. Gone too soon, and it's a damn shame. The world of NASCAR lost a true angel on Sunday morning. And
Very strange way. It's ironic as Joe Gibbs lost both his sons at the age of 49. It's very tragic.
It's a very tragic thing. You should a parent should never outlive their child, but poor Joe Gibbs has had to do it twice now.
Yes, absolutely.
It's an effing shame. That's the only way you can put it. Coy Gibbs will be remembered for his honesty. He is honest and blunt. Got him in trouble sometimes. You always heard those stories about him, but Coy was a very good person.
Yeah,
I know a lot of people who know him very personally, and they are deeply affected by this. And prayers to his family and especially his son Ty.
Yeah, I mean that was. Can you imagine that? I mean, think of Ty. From the highest of highs to the lowest of lows, all within 12 hours.
If I have any advice for Ty Gibbs, it would be to lean on the people in the garage, and especially lean on people like Dale Jr.
Yeah, because Dale understands it. I mean, totally understands the whole thing. Hey, we're going to green flag racing as the field makes their way to the green flag for the first time tonight in the TNR. The green flag is out. Here they go. As Sanchez will bring him across the stripe for the first time in that cookout. Red and yellow car. Bring him down to turn number 1. The field will stack him up right behind him. They're all looking for position, shoving themselves into where they want to settle for just the very beginning of this race, because it's a long race. And this is a racetrack that will not allow you to breathe for any time period, as the field will make their way single file. Looks like pretty much single file so far, as Sanchez will bring him around the track for the first time. We got one car off the track already.
It's Eric Schaefer. Eric Schaefer back here. He has gone off the track, come back on the track. He's back in 4th now. Lost a couple of spots. Jason Hastings is off the track as well. He's back on the track now. Jeremy Gibbs and Jason Hastings both went off track. They're both back on the track now. We'll keep an eye on them as we drive around this racetrack. Zach Wilson putting some pressure on Joe Sanchez as we come through the 3rd sector of this racetrack. But it looks like Zach Wilson does have the ability to drive away a little bit on Joe Sanchez. Down into the front stretch chicane, getting those left side tires, just touching the grass. Hard on the throttle, hard on the brakes. Get on the rumble strips. Drive yourself away if you're Joe Sanchez. Off into the Tums heartburn turn. Sanchez has Zach Wilson looking at him. Zach Wilson is saying, hey, you make a mistake, buddy. I'm right here. I'm going to pounce on you.
Yeah, no doubt about that, as we let him go. Wilson stalking Sanchez, and Sanchez, you talk about heartburn. You know, he's got a cookout on the car. Sometimes that might give you a little heartburn. And this is definitely one of those times that cookout car is getting some heartburn to somebody. He's making himself around the track very smoothly. Him and Wilson, I mean, these guys are definitely setting themselves up to be the class of the field tonight, as we've only gone 2 laps. We're working on lap number 3 right now, approaching lap number 3 of 67 laps around the Roval here in Charlotte. This is going to be a long race, people, so sit back, grab some popcorn, get yourself a nice cold beer, and enjoy the view.
We've got a battle already beginning for 8th position. You see Casey Soch in the 0, Jesse Priest in the 0, dives to the inside of Casey Soch. We got a car around. It's the 53 of Kevin Delia. He's got it back going through the tunnel turn. But now through NASCAR 3 and 4, here comes the 86. He's getting the draft. The 27 lets him by to the inside. Jesse Priest is going to keep that lane this time through the front stretch chicane. The 86, though, is beginning to set him up a little bit, trying to make a move on that zero Chevy Camaro in front of him. We're on board the 86. You hear through the corners how you slide through these corners here at Charlotte on that front stretch when these tires start to heat up. We'll go on board him as we go through turn 3 here, which is a hard right-hander, down the hill into 4. You're off the throttle, now back on the throttle hard down the short chute to turns 5, 6, and 7. A right-hander is turn 5, up the hill to turn 6, then back up the hill again to turn 7, and you start coming down the hill in the apex of 7. Gets the car a little upset through here. You go all the way out to the wall, back to the left here for turn 8, on to NASCAR 1 and 2, which is turns 9 and 10 here at the Roval. And we'll just let you listen to the wonderful sound of this car as we come down the backstretch at Charlotte. Into turns 11, 12, 13, and 14. I know this is not what NASCAR calls it, but actually that's what this is, 11, 12, 13, and 14. We come through 15 and 16 here, which would be NASCAR 3 and 4, to the front stretch, which would be 18, 19, and 20. NASCAR contributes this track to about 14 corners. I say it as 20. I know all drivers have different counts for different road courses. This is one I differ very much from the sanctioning body.
Yeah, you definitely do. You've added a few extra to 2 or 3 turns.
I always do it. I always have done road courses in the Formula 1 rule set. If it's a corner, it counts as a corner. If you're turning the car, if the track turns in a direction, it's a corner. NASCAR doesn't do that. They take the S's at Sonoma, and they call the S's turn 7. It's actually 8, 9, and 10. Because it's 3 distinct S's. It's not one part. NASCAR's a little different. They call it like one corner. I don't know why they call it one corner. We call the middle of corners in NASCAR and a Roval 1 and 2. Why wouldn't we just call that turn 1 and then the other turn 2 if we're not going to count real corners?
Who knows? Who knows? They all have their logic on.
The battle
they
for
wanna-
the lead is starting to heat up through the front stretch chicane. Again, I think that's what, NASCAR 13 and 14. To me, it's 19 and 20.
Could be 17 and 18 for all you know.
I don't know what NASCAR call. Let me get the NASCAR map up because I'm not very good with the NASCAR map for the Roval. Oh, it's 17. They call it 17 corners now.
Oh,
They've gotten
added a couple.
better. They're still not correct. There's 20 corners. I mean, every other map that I see here online it says 20 corners. But I will take 17 if that's what NASCAR wants to call it. Oh, yeah, they don't. So NASCAR doesn't count the 2 right-handers going up the hill as 2 separate corners. They count it at 1 continuous corner, even though there's a short straightaway between them, which is why I count them as 2 separate corners. But as you see here, the battle between Zach Wilson and Joe Sanchez, these two are pretty consistent on times right now, Randy. Joe's running 122.8s, like high 122.8s. Zach's running low 122.9s. There's about 0.06 of a second between these two guys. That's why Joe's not able to drive away. And that time, actually, Joe gained 0.2 of a second on Zach. But Zach is being able to gain time through the front stretch chicane and also through turns 14 and 15.
You know, you can, out there when they get into the NASCAR 3 and 4, get out there, you might actually get a little sniff of a draft even to kind of suck up to Sanchez there. But I don't know, Sanchez definitely just looks a little bit more consistent in his line compared to Wilson.
He seems very smooth.
Smoother.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
He
Very,
seems very
smooth.
controlled and decisive on where he puts that car. It's in the same spot every lap. Zach is in the same area every lap, but he's not at the same marker. And that's the difference between a good road course racer and a great road course racer. And we're only 6 laps into a 67-lap event. I'm not saying Zach Wilson's not a great road course racer. I don't know the guy well enough. I'll be able to tell you at the end of the night if I think he is or not. But right now it's 6 laps in. What I'm telling you is the difference that I see when you look at road course racers is if you can have a road course racer, the difference between Chase Elliott and Jeff Gordon, right? Jeff Gordon could put the car in the same spot 7 out of 10 times at Watkins Glen. Every 7 laps, out of 10 laps, every 7 laps he'd have it in the same exact spot. Somewhere in those 3 laps he'd be off by 2 or 3 tenths because he'd put the car in a different spot through turn 1 or turn 4 or turn 6. You look at Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott 9 times out of 10 puts that car in the same spot. Look at guys like Fernando Alonso. 10 times out of 10, that car's going to be in the same exact spot every single lap.
Absolutely.
The guys who are fantastic at running road courses make it look a lot easier than it really is. I mean, you'll hear these guys, they will actually say to you, it's the old adage of slower is faster. At a road course, that's true. The slower you are at the apex of the corner, or the slower you are in the entrance to the corner, the faster you're going to be at apex and the faster you're going to be at exit. Because if you enter the corner slower, you're going to get on the throttle at the exact right moment, be able to go. And here it is. Zach Wilson gained a ton of time into the tunnel turn that time, Randy Pepper. Here comes the 17. Let's see if he can make a move this time. He's going to have a little bit of draft. Joe Sanchez got a heck of an exit on the backstretch chicane. But Zach Wilson's not close enough. See, 0.3 of a second is not close enough to make that move. It's close enough to get up on that back bumper and make the guy in front of you think. But it's not close enough to dive off into turns 19 and 20 and really make that move on him.
Yeah, now he's definitely got into that stalking mode where he's right there and Sanchez knows he's right there at his bumper, just waiting for Sanchez to make a little slip up. And Wilson will try to get around him if he slips up. I don't think he'll be able to get around him, just power around him. They're too consistent. Both of them are pretty much consistent with the same times.
This is where Wilson gaps him, though, is right here in the infield section. This tougher infield section of the track, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, is where he really begins to gap him a little bit more. Wilson has the advantage on the oval part of the track and on the backstretch chicane to the front stretch. Once we get out through turn 1 and we go through up turns 1 to about turn 11, it's all Joe Sanchez's advantage. And then turns 12 through 20, it's all Zach Wilson's. I mean, here right in the backstretch chicane, they make contact in the backstretch chicane. They did come together. There was contact there. We've had some crashes, Randy Pepper. We'll get to those here in a minute. I believe that contact there is going to put a hindrance and an end to this battle for a little bit. Oh, maybe not. Joe Sanchez made a mistake.
Yeah, he did.
He jumped that right front up in the air a lot. You could hear it audibly when he hit the curb. That's not what you want to do with the Roval.
No, that doesn't look that big, just kind of looking at it. But when you hit it in the car,
oh, it hurts.
It's huge. It's huge.
It doesn't
really
feel good.
No, it doesn't. It slams your teeth into your mouth, and that's not a fun time. Speaking of road courses, I was able this past week when I was in Phoenix, I was actually able to talk to the Porsche Cup Brazil endurance racing driver, Miguel Paludo.
It's Miguel Paludo.
Paludo, bingo. Yeah, super nice guy. So, reason I'm bringing this up because I asked him about iRacing compared to the real thing. And he actually said iRacing for his particular series was extremely close. He goes, he uses it all the time to practice for the real thing. Uses paddle shifters like a lot of guys do. He goes, he doesn't use a stick that like these guys. A lot of these guys here racing tonight are using sticks. Well, with him in the Porsche, they're running the paddle shifters, and that's exactly what he does with his iRacing rig. And he says it's like running a go-kart. And I was like, really? And he said, yeah, it's like running a go-kart. Just extremely. Ooh. Oh, we got trouble there.
We got one guy off the track. That's going to be, what's that, the 2? Is Jeremy Gibbs in the 2. He's really locking him up here. I think he has some issues. Yeah, he's locking him up a lot. He's got some damage to the back of this car. It's not being a friendly night to him. He's getting on the brakes and locking him up into 1. Locked him up into the tunnel turn. He's going wide here through 3 and 4, now into 5, down the short chute to 6. You'll see him through 6, 7, and 8. Yeah, he's definitely got an issue with that car. It's not handling right. Through 7 now, down the right-hander, now back down into the bottom of the track into 8. Yeah, he's having problems here through the...
He's off the pace big time.
Yeah, there's damage to that car, 100%. Look, you can see it bottoming out hard. The right front, there may be broken suspension on that machine.
And it's all caved in. Yeah, he's got some issues, definitely. As I was saying about the Miguel thing, when I'm actually out doing these races, working these NASCAR races and stuff, I try to talk to as many of the NASCAR drivers as I can to ask them how close iRacing is to the real thing. And I'm going to say just about every time I talk to any driver. We talked to Jeremy Clements this past week as well. Jeremy said the same thing. NASCAR, iRacing, and NASCAR real thing are very, very similar to each other, and they are definitely tools that the NASCAR drivers use to make themselves better in the real life thing. So
yeah, I will agree with you 100%.
Yeah, if you think that, just running on this sim here is just a toy or a game or whatever, it may be to some of these guys, it may be just a game. But to a real life NASCAR driver or an F1 driver or IMSA Exxon driver whatever. These guys are actually using this sim as a practice tool to make themselves better in the real life.
Yeah, they specifically do that because obviously in F1 there is the testing ban to where you can only do so much testing in a year. And then again in NASCAR there's the tire testing ban where you can only do so much tire testing in a year. So not being able to test at all these tracks like they used to, like in 2004, 2005, 2006, what they would do is they'd go race on Sunday, they'd take Monday off, they'd have the test car hauler at a racetrack for Tuesday morning. They'd fly in on Tuesday. They'd practice Tuesday, Wednesday. They'd get back on a plane, go home for Thursday. Then they'd get back on a plane Thursday afternoon, go to the track, practice Friday, qualify Saturday, race on Sunday, rinse, repeat for the next week.
Yep.
To get all sorts of testing in. Now, that helped a lot of rookies. That's why Kurt Busch won a championship. It's why Junior won a lot of races when he was younger. It's why Jeff Gordon was so good in the mid-2000s. The constant testing was great. But what it did is it ran those little teams out of business because you think of teams like, I'm going to go way back. You ready for a name?
Yeah, go back.
How about Tide Racing?
That's a ways back.
Tide Racing didn't have the budget to send their test truck out because they didn't have a test hauler. They had 5 cars. They actually call this, it's unofficially called the Tide Racing Rule. The testing ban. It's unofficially called the Tide Testing Rule. Tide Racing had 5 cars. Super Speedway car, Super Speedway backup, a road course, a short track, and an intermediate car. They didn't have backups for their short track. They didn't have backups for their intermediate. They didn't have backups for their Watkins Glen car. They had 5 cars. Ran a whole season like that. They couldn't afford to go testing on Tuesday and Wednesday because if on Tuesday they backed the intermediate car into the wall and they were going to Atlanta on Sunday, they were screwed. That would mean the end of the race team. So little teams like that would go out there and they'd be 6, they'd be 5, they'd be 6.5 seconds off the pace. And people were, well, why are they so far off the pace? It's because they can't afford to put the millions and millions and millions of dollars into doing the testing every week. The constant testing. The Tuesday, Wednesday. And then get back home on Thursday. And then get back to the track on Thursday night to practice Friday twice, to qualify on Saturday, to do happy hour, and then race. Like newer NASCAR fans, post-2020, don't know what NASCAR used to be like.
No, it's a lot different.
You have no idea how cramped the NASCAR week was. It didn't start on Thursday or Friday like it does now. Zach Wilson almost just went through Joe Sanchez there. He locked it up into the backstretch chicane. Zach Wilson is faster than Joe Sanchez. We're going to keep an eye on this battle because this is by far the only battle on the racetrack right now, and it's going to get very interesting here very quickly.
He may be faster, but he's just not as consistent.
Yes. No, when he gets up to him, he makes a mistake. So NASCAR used to be way different. Now it starts on like a Thursday if you have trucks. If the trucks are there, it starts on Thursday. If it's Xfinity and Cup only at the track that week, it starts on Friday. Randy will attest to this. This stuff used to start on Wednesday, sometimes Tuesday. If you had modifieds, they'd roll in on Tuesday. The hauler parade would happen on Tuesday. Practice qualifying race would happen on Wednesday for the modifieds. Practice and qualifying would happen on Thursday for the trucks. Practices times 2 for the Xfinity Series would happen on Thursday. The Cup Series would have a shakedown on Thursday. Then they'd come in on Friday, run 2 practices. Xfinity would run qualifying. The trucks would run their race. Modifieds would run their second race if it was like the K&N East Series. And then you could have the K&N and the ARCA cars there, so you'd have more racing on Friday. Then you'd roll into Saturday. You'd have final practice for Cup Series. Then an hour and a half later, you'd have qualifying. Then you'd have the Xfinity Series race. Then you'd have maybe an ARCA race. And then you'd roll in on Sunday morning and have the Cup Series race. You used to get 6 days of action.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen that way anymore.
And the teams back then would, some of those big teams would actually travel with 4 cars, because
just you were worried. You were worried if you come to town on Wednesday and you bring the car out of the hauler on Thursday morning and you go to do a practice and your first 5 laps in practice, you blow a right rear tire and you back that sumbitch in the wall. What are you going to do the next 3 days if you only have 1 backup car?
Yeah.
Hendrick
exactly.
Motorsports would come to town with 22 race cars. they'd come with 4 cars for each one of their cars already wrapped, and they would come with 4 separate wraps just in case all 4 of those cars, especially Daytona and Talladega, got ruined. They just wrap one of the cars.
Yeah.
Speed weeks used to be a mess. They would come down there with, how many cars they used to come down at Speed Weeks? I think it was 10.
There's a lot of cars. They had a lot of cars.
Yeah, they used to come down with a lot.
And there used to be some of these teams that didn't have the budgets that Hendrick and Roush and all these guys had back then. Would actually, if they wrecked a car in practice, they would have to call back to North Carolina and have a driver actually drive down another car. And sometimes you look at these big, gigantic haulers that they bring these cars in. Well, back then, you would have a guy driving from North Carolina with a pickup truck and a flatbed with a car on it, driving from North Carolina overnight with a new car, to complete the week.
The series today is, we still complain about how much it costs, but the series back then, it was unbelievable. I mean, it was unbelievable. Rick Hendrick would spend $4 million on cars at Daytona. I mean, because you'd go out there, and most of the time in practice, because they used to practice differently, too. These guys they never had an off switch. I mean, you'd come to Speed Weeks, and they'd be all amped up. They haven't raced in 4 months. I got to get out there and do this. Come on, buddy. They'd get out there on the racetrack. They'd go around. They'd get up there and practice. They'd start drafting, and they'd find something wrong with the car real quick. Oh, this new aero package. When we do something with this new aero package, we get near your left rear quarter panel, it spins a guy out right in front of you. Did you know that? No, I didn't know that. How'd you find out? Oh, I wrecked 14 cars in the backstretch. That's on Thursday of Speed Weeks, the week before the Daytona 500. There's one car. There's 14 cars, 1 car per team now destroyed. Then you'd go and you'd do the Bud Shootout. If you were in that, you had to bring a car for the Bud Shootout because you knew that thing was going to get wrecked. So you knew you were bringing a car. Unless you won that race, you knew you were losing money no matter what at that race because you were going to wreck a race car. And then you'd come in, you'd do qualifying on Monday. Oh, no, I'm sorry, you'd do qualifying on Sunday. Yeah, you do qualifying on Sunday because they ran the duels on Saturday, and then on Sunday they do the Daytona 500 pole qualifying. And then the 2 guys who got pole were like, okay, I can't let nothing happen to this race car at all. Then you go to the Budweiser duels, and what did they do? Well, the guys who got pole in second, for some unknown reason, always decided to try to stay up front and show how strong they were for Sunday. 9 times out of 10, you wreck that race car. Usually we leave the duels with 10 or 15 more wrecked cars. Then we come to the Daytona 500. What happens there, Randy? Another 17 cars get wrecked.
Yeah, because, you had the twins, and,
the
twins always,
bad.
The twins was always your calamity.
Oh, the twins was always like the guy who needed to not get himself in trouble in the twins, like the pole sitter or second place, or the guy who needed to drive himself into the freaking Daytona 500 would always somehow find the wall, and it would always be half the field.
Yeah.
I don't know how they got that to change. I really don't. I don't know if all the owners sat down with all these drivers and was like, listen, the duels are nice and all. It's beautiful to see you guys put all that pressure on yourselves to try to go out there and sweep qualifying, the duels, and the 500. It's fantastic. I love your effort and how bad you want it. But you've cost me $750,000, and we haven't even gotten to the Daytona 500 yet. Can you maybe calm down, please? That had to be the conversation. Can you imagine the conversation?
Yeah.
Can you imagine the conversation in the financial room the day after the Daytona 500 back in like 07, 08? If you didn't win the 500, you're coming back and you're just sitting there going, all right, how much money did we spend at Daytona? Oh, it was only $1.3 million? That's not bad. That's 20% less than last year.
And also that was long before they had charters.
Oh yeah.
Back then, you weren't guaranteed a start.
No,
in
it was
any
the
of these
top.
races.
It was the
If
top
you showed up-
15. The first 10
Yep.
races of the year was the top 15 from the year before and previous champions.
Yep.
So about
And
22
now-
guys. Now you got what, 34 of them guaranteed in?
It's more than that. It's like
35 or whatever. Yeah, 38 charters, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So you don't have all that craziness for 12th in the duel anymore because, well, it's just not needed because most of these guys are locked in. So they don't care if they finish dead last in the duel because they know they're racing on Sunday. A lot
I
of the
think
rule
there's
changes
only like
have
2
changed
spots
it.
that are like
Yeah.
up for grabs.
Yeah, it's changed. A lot of it has changed for the better. But NASCAR fans don't realize how much different it used to be. Like the ones who were new. The ones who came
are new.
in,
If you just came into the sport within the last 6 years or so,
Oh, NASCAR's way different.
it's way different than it used to be.
I mean, COVID accelerated the change, but the change was happening.
Yeah.
Like we were losing Wednesdays. That was happening for a long time because it used to start on Tuesdays and then it started on Wednesdays and then it was slowly being phased out to start on Thursdays. They were shortening the weekends, mostly because these guys were on the road 265 days a year, and it was killing teams. It was killing drivers. It was killing crew members. Like everybody was retiring early. Why do you think guys used to only race till they were 38 or 39 years old? They were on the road 265 days a year.
Yeah.
Now they're on the road 140 days a year, give or take.
I mean, yeah. Now, just this past week. Okay, so we started our week on Tuesday night. We played Tuesday, Wednesday. No, we started our night Wednesday. So we played Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. The first driver we actually saw wasn't until Thursday. That was
And
the
this
first
is a
time we saw a
championship
driver.
week.
Yeah, exactly.
This is like the most important week of the year other than Daytona.
Yeah, I didn't see Joey Logano, our champion. I didn't see Joey show up into his hauler until I think Friday.
Yeah, I'm not kidding you. If this was 20 years ago and we had this type of championship playoff format, those guys would have been there on Monday.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
They would have left the track Sunday night, gone home, saw their wife and kids, and said, "I'll see you next week," because I'm going to the track now. Because they're going to open the track for me to do walkarounds tomorrow, and me and the crew chief are just going to sit there and talk about this.
Yeah, there's the first stage down.
That is the stage one over. But they would literally sit there on Monday and just cram in all the information they could get, and then Tuesday they would do the same thing, and then Wednesday they would finally get in the track. But they would already have a day and a half of prep in.
Yep.
Could you imagine how dominant Joey would have been if he would have had 5 days of prep? Now they do it all now they do all of that back at the. They do that all back at home because they have all these sims and stuff, which is great.
Yeah. iRacing for one.
Dominant performance by Joe Sanchez here in stage one. Absolute domination. He lapped up to 19th.
Yeah, you can tell that Joe's a true road course veteran or a guy that actually likes to run road courses. Where many guys like me, I'm not a road course guy. These things pop up on the schedule, and I'm like, great. Nah, I really don't want to have to run this race because I know I'm going to finish somewhere way.
Yeah, they
way,
can
way
be a
back in the
chore.
back.
They can definitely be a chore.
Well, it takes a lot to concentrate on all these turns. It's not just you don't just have 4 turns or 3 turns. You've got, 17, 18, 19 turns that you have to physically remember each one of those on every one of these tracks. And it goes back to even what we're talking more about this with the NASCAR thing with, showing up like Joey did on, Friday to practice. On a road course, you show up Friday and you're trying to learn this track, before you qualify the next day. One day. And really you only have maybe 20 laps to really go around the track and figure it out.
You only get 60 minutes of track time on Friday. And it's
and that stops in between and everything. So
Yeah.
you have that 20 minutes, but that doesn't mean how many laps you have, because you go around the track, you may turn 6 laps. You go back and you say the car is, I'm
it's a
feeling
piece of junk.
something-
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm feeling something I don't like. And then the crew works on it. They go back out there. Now they've already chewed down 15 minutes.
Yeah, I
out
mean,
of
if
60.
if you go in and you go, I don't like the way the front springs are. You need to change these front springs. There goes 20 minutes.
Yeah, gone.
Physically quick, I couldn't change a pair of front springs in 20 minutes. It'd take me 4 hours. The fact that it takes these guys 20 minutes to change front springs shows how talented they are. But still, it's 20 minutes to change front springs. So major changes like that, you're like, well, do I want you to change it now or do I wait until qualifying? You put them in between now and qualifying, and I just hope when I go out there for qualifying the car's better.
Yeah, and I mean,
It's those
iRacing-
decisions.
Yeah, iRacing has that advantage over like the real life. You can automatically just go in and work on a couple things and you're in and out. You don't have to worry about the whole crew thing and all like that. It's going to be pretty consistent going in and out of the pits most of the time. You won't have like a 19-second pit stop unless you really mess up, like
Your
Christopher
pit
Bell
entry,
did.
yeah, or you
Yeah.
have to back up, or maybe you drop a gear and you don't have the anti-stall clutch on, and you're the one who has the clutch, and you don't have the clutch in far enough. You drop the clutch and it stalls. You have to start it back up. Maybe that's how you lose time in the pits in iRacing. But it's not like real life where you come down pit lane, you go, hey, I need 4 tires, fuel, and I really need something done in the left rear of this car. All right, we're going to put 2 more. We're going to change the springs. We're going to put a spring rubber in the left rear. That doesn't take 3 seconds. That's a minute and a half thing. You're losing all the spots you gain on the track.
Right.
And it's not as common nowadays where we see guys putting the spring rubbers in the left rear, or we see them on pit lane changing springs. But I mean, hell, you go back to any race in 06, 07, I guarantee you had somebody on pit road putting a spring rubber in the left rear, maybe changing the springs, going way down in the track bar, maybe getting up under the car and changing something, dropping the rear ride height a little bit because you had more play in the rules back then. I mean, it's just countless things you would have seen 10 years ago that you just don't see now for a plethora of reasons, but still, it's stuff that you used to see that you don't see now. It's much different. And we're not
It
saying we
definitely
don't
is.
like NASCAR now. We're just giving you a little bit of history lesson. This is what we do at road courses. Me and Randy can't make everything exciting all the time, so we give you a little bit of a history lesson.
Yep. We'll go through different things and we'll school you a little bit.
Yeah,
But,
we will.
Yeah,
I mean,
road courses, it's just not. It's not an oval, folks.
and they
So
do this in
if
real
you're going,
life, too.
Yeah, exactly. And you may have walked in and you're saying, why are these guys talking about NASCAR and history and stuff? It's because these races here, I mean, we just watched Sanchez. He was 15 seconds ahead of Wilson, second place, all by himself. Yeah, we had other races back behind them, but they were separated as well. I mean, it's
Yeah, the
not
first
the
10 laps of a run, we can make it all exciting. Then we got to figure something out to talk about. we
Yeah.
give you a little history lesson, I dive into, at super speedways when we can, I dive into aerodynamics and why this does that and why this does this. And I mean, but it's interesting to see, you started talking about a sim and how it changed, and I felt it was pertinent information to be like, well, why is a sim so important to NASCAR drivers now? Well, it's because we don't have the testing anymore. And the testing ban came from a team that couldn't afford it. And why couldn't the team afford it? Well, the team couldn't afford it because at the time in the sport, this is what was happening. And it was happening because of this. And this is how it's changed from then to now. It's all pertinent information to kind of lead into why you stated what you stated.
Yep, exactly. Hey, I remember working at New Smyrna Speedway, and we would have Carl Edwards or somebody like that would actually show up at the track and test that track because it was close to another track on the NASCAR schedule, because they weren't allowed to go to that track.
Yeah, they weren't allowed to go to that track with a Cup Series car, so they had to come in and they had to do it in a street stock, Or an
Well, no, they
Xfinity
would
car.
bring a truck.
Oh,
Usually
a
it was
truck.
a truck.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, usually it was a truck. A lot of times it was a truck that they would use. We saw a lot of trucks come into New Smyrna.
Now
and
the way they
cats
get
there.
around that is they bring in 06 or an 07 Cup car. Because you can bring
Yeah.
those, because it's a classic race car. You're not practicing with what you have now at your hands. So you're able to take an 07 Cup car, which, I mean, historically, an 07 Cup car was a lot more safe than what we're driving now, but it also drove exactly like what we're driving now.
Yeah.
Drove like a freaking boat, which is what these new ones drive like. They drive like boats.
Yes. A boot. As we talked to many
But
people.
we're
from
23
Canada,
laps in, 23 complete. And apparently, I'm looking at this, and that's turn 10 according to NASCAR. I don't believe that. That doesn't seem like turn 10. That seems like turn...
So that was 10, so we're getting ready to go to 11.
This is 11, but the problem with NASCAR, this is why I call this 13, 14, 15. Because this right here, this is all turn 11. This whole section is turn 11.
How many turns do we see there? How many times do
That's
we see
four.
the driver turn back and forth?
That's 4. You're turning right once, you're getting a short shoot, you're turning right again, then you're turning left. You're turning left, right, right, left. So it's 13, 14, 15, 16 to me. This is 17 and 18. The front stretch is 19, 20. I could even probably get away with calling it 21 turns on the front stretch, but I say 20. NASCAR says it says 17. I don't know where they're losing 3 corners. I really don't. Because this is 16, 17 to me. Oh, sorry, this is 17 and 18. And this is 19 and 20 right here. And again, you could probably get away with calling this turn right here 19, and then the two turns in the chicanes 20 and 21. But
Green flag flies once again, and Sanchez jumps out to a quick lead over Wilson.
Here comes Wilson.
Challenge as they go down to 1.
into
Here
the
they go,
Tom's
side by side.
turn. Is there going to be heartburn? We're into turn 2. Look at this, Randy. We're side by side for the lead.
Wilson knows that he has to do something now, because he knows once that Sanchez gets out all by himself, he's not going to have anything with Sanchez at all.
Yeah.
He won't have anything for him, and just like that, Sanchez separates himself by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 car lengths over Wilson. Wilson falling behind him, and then the rest of the field is 7, 8 car lengths back behind them. So these two guys are the class of the field, with Sanchez being the man by far.
They did that in 10 corners. Can you believe that? They did that in 10 corners.
Wow.
Here we come up to 11 and 12. Well, 11, 12, and 13. And then now through turn 14 right here on your left, you see Zach Wilson up on the back bumper. Joe Sanchez into 15 and 16. I'm sorry, into 13. My goodness gracious, into 14 and 15.
Yeah, you see, he's losing ground to him already.
Yeah,
Sanchez is just kind of.
Oh, Zach Wilson got loose. He got loose there through the tri-oval.
He's trying to overdrive the car because he knows if he lets Sanchez get too far away right now, it's done. He's going to be another 15 seconds behind him, and Sanchez is just going to knock the cars down left and right like he did last time. Knock down 19 cars, So we'll see that again eventually, because Sanchez is just that much better than the rest of the field tonight. Well, Sanchez actually got a little wide that time, but it allowed him to actually set the car up for the next turn. So he's definitely thinking about everything he's doing, and Wilson can do nothing with him. And this, we're 25 laps into this thing, and I think we're going to see this all night long.
I do too.
As Lionel Richie used to say.
I really wish we had a pedal cam so I could show you what's happening in his feet right now. And people, they tend to take for granted, because of how great the transmissions are in these cars and how you don't really need to use the clutch too much to upshift, that you don't use your feet as much as you used to. And that's just not true, because, I mean, as you're coming up, it's not as big here, right? So here he's just brake, clutch, going down in a second, into the throttle hard, just braking and clutching through here, and now braking, and he's not really having to correct the car. Where it really starts to step out on you and you go, well, you're on the brake, you're feathering the throttle with your right foot, and then you're feathering you're hitting the clutch with your left foot, and you're also braking with your left foot, and depends on which foot's your dominant foot, right? You could do the brake and feather the throttle with the right foot, or brake with the left foot and feather the clutch. And it really starts to come through this part of the racetrack. So as you're coming up over this hill, the back end steps out there, and what you're doing is as you're changing gear, you're on the brake, and when you're changing gear, you need to give the back end some gas, because if you just change right in from fourth to third, the way the RPMs work, it's just going to flip the back end of the car around. So on your brakes, you're actually giving it a little burp of the throttle as you're shifting. And that's you see that all the time in NASCAR. You know what I'm talking about, Randy, right? The little boop, right to the little throttle.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a little boop as you're going through the corner to get that thing to straighten back out, because as you're on the throttle and you're clutching and you're shifting, and the back end wants to come around because, well, the rear tires are moving at 6,300 RPMs a minute. And you're shifting into a gear that all of a sudden the rear tires need to go from 6,300 RPMs to 7,300 RPMs. And when you drop it into gear, it kicks those back tires and it creates wheel spin. Wheel spin happens, you're turning to the right. What happens? Well, the car spins out to the left. Actually,
We'll look and see if any other battles on the track right now, because our leader is just kind of pulling away. I was looking back there at the 7 car, Dylan Hastings back there, seeing as he's working on trying to make some ground up in his number 7.
So you're going to hear it right now as we come up through this corner. Listen, when he gets on when he changes gear. You heard the little burp of the throttle there as he got back on it. And you'll hear it here. You hear him playing with the throttle, keeping the back end straight. And I really wish we had a pedal cam of Joe Sanchez. Because the eNASCAR Series champion, he has a pedal cam. And I always like watching his pedal cam because it shows you how difficult it is at these road courses. Joe Sanchez is great right now. Zach Wilson is using those the back chicane down the backstretch. 14, 15, 16 into his advantage big time. Through 17 and 18, now into 19, 20. I mean, Sanchez is hard in the brakes. He almost just Jimmy Johnsoned the back of the 55. The kids won't know that reference.
No, probably not. But they'll know that Jimmy Johnson is coming back to NASCAR as now an owner.
Yeah, I'm a little upset about
owner
that.
Of Petty.
I'm a little upset about that.
Why are you upset about that?
I am upset about that because I want to know why he's not a part owner at HMS.
I'm curious to that myself.
There has to be something. Maybe that was Rick saying, "Hey, we need a place to put Dale Jr.'s drivers while we wait to get them in my cars." Maybe he told Jimmy, "Hey, I'll help you buy that part of the team." Maybe Rick's a silent partner. Who knows?
Jimmy didn't need any money. Trust me, dude.
No, I don't think he's. I think he's there.
Worth about $300 million.
Yeah, you know how much HMS is worth? But it's different though. GMS is nothing.
Yeah.
Compared to HMS.
Yeah, I'm talking pocket change for him.
Yeah, no, Petty Motorsports is not worth a lot of money. It's only got assets. It's not worth anything on the track. It's just assets at this point.
Right.
It's just like when Brad went to RFK. All it's worth is the charter, really.
Yep.
A lockup from the 55 of Joe Sanchez. Zach Wilson makes a mistake, though, behind him. He could have jumped on that.
He could have. I'm actually shocked that he saw the mistake and overcompensated for it. He got anxious, thinking, now's the time. And, that happens. You see the person in front of you that you're chasing, make a mistake, and you all automatically, you think, I got it now. And then you yourself make a mistake as well and blow it for yourself.
It's one of those things. It is one of those things at road courses. The guy in front of you makes a small, hiccup, and you go, I'm going to take advantage of that. And while you're thinking, I'm going to take advantage of that, you put yourself almost in the inside catch fence.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, kind of what we're seeing here. Wilson now, he's actually gained on him.
He's there. He's going to make a move this time.
Between the two, and now he's
into the chicane. He's going to make a move. He's going to outbrake him. Is he going to outbrake himself, though, is the question. He's going to outbrake himself. They're going to come in. They're
Oh,
almost
he blew
coming
the
together.
guard.
And the 17's going to have to stop. He gave up the time that he needed to give up. He got a track cutting penalty. Now down to a second and a half behind Joe Sanchez. It's going to take a couple laps for Zach Wilson to get to him.
Yeah.
That's a shame. That was a good move, too. Let's look at that. Let's look at that. That was a nice move, too. He made a very nice move. He got it set up really, really well. He just outbroke himself.
Yep.
That's just one of those moments.
That stinks. Yeah, and you gotta wonder what Joe Sanchez was thinking at that point when he saw him do that move. Was he thinking, oh my God, somebody's actually faster than me? I'm gonna actually have to run second for a little bit.
It's one of the, as they would say in Formula One, it was one of those last of the late breakers moments. I mean, he broke really, really late. He ended up out breaking himself, but he really showed that he will have something for Joe in the final stage. Randy, while we look through the field to find the most exciting battles that are happening on the track, why don't we have a conversation? It's about that time in the run. History lessons with Randy Pepper and Nick Adams. Randy, do you know who the winningest road course driver in NASCAR history is?
It was Jeff Gordon for a while. Rusty Wallace was one of the early pioneers of this stuff. Earnhardt later on became pretty good at it, but nothing compared to like Rusty or Jeff Gordon. I believe Jeff Gordon is the all-time winner of road courses.
So the all-time winner on road courses is you were correct with your first statement. It's Jeff Gordon.
Yeah.
Still to this day, it's Jeff Gordon. But think about that. Jeff Gordon did that in his career. It was spanned over 26 years. Chase Elliott is third with 7. And Chase has been doing this for what, 8 years?
Yeah. Chase has got a long ways to go.
Chase is going to blow that record out of the water.
Yep.
And I honestly, it's like the football thing, okay? It's like looking at Tom Brady's records and comparing them to Joe Montana. Two different sports. Two different sports at the time. You look back as we have a little battle here between the 15, the 76, and the 11 that we're watching. The 76 off the track. He's going to get contact with the 11 almost through the turn back onto the track. And the 76 is just going to let them go by.
Yeah.
You look back at like football in the 90s. You go, Tom Brady clearly is better than Joe Montana because he's thrown for almost over 100,000 yards. I mean, if Joe Montana played in this league, Joe Montana probably would have thrown for 100,000 yards. It's to look at nowadays. You have what, 6 road courses on the schedule?
Yeah, and that's going to be even more next year.
Yeah.
They've got, Chicago coming in.
So that's going to be 7 road courses on the schedule. It's not that hard to break a win of 9 road courses. Jeff Gordon did that when there was 2 road courses on the schedule. He won 1 road course a year for a consistent period of like 5 or 6 years. It was when we came to Watkins Glen, it was always Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart. That's who's going to win this race.
Yep.
You go to Sonoma, it was Jeff Gordon, Rusty Wallace. That's who's going to win this race. That's just where it was.
Yep.
That's just nowadays. We go to Watkins Glen. Oh, it's Chase Elliott's track. You go to Sonoma. That's Kyle Larson.
Right.
You go to Charlotte. You go. It's a crapshoot. It's in the playoffs. Who freaking knows?
It could be Blaney. Who knows?
Could be Blaney. It could be Truex. It could be Jimmy. I mean, if Jimmy was still racing, it could be Dale. It could be anybody. Anybody who's on the track at Charlotte has a chance to win this race because it's so unpredictable because of the timing of it on the schedule. That's why it's unpredictable.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you're watching this. I know we were talking about this, but this battle here
It's
between
really nice.
Vernier and Phelps, I mean, this is a really good battle. I mean,
This is for
they
11th.
really-
This is for 10th. It's a battle for 10th, and this is
They
this
keep
is,
swapping each other lap.
It's
Each-
very nice to see.
Wow.
This is consistent. And there's a lot of people behind him right now. And here comes the 16's going to pass on the inside. Tyler Murray. He's going to get the move done on the 15 through NASCAR 3 and 4. Into the front tunnel turn. Front stretch chicane. Excuse me.
Grenier was really consistent there. Now he's kind of fallen off his game a little bit as he let the first the Feltz car go by, and now Murray went by him as well, and he's fallen back.
This is what happened to him in the front in the first stage as well. The tires started to go away, and it was the end for Matt Grenier. He started to fall back with older tires, so it's probably going to be something that happens again in this stage. We go forward to the Scott Feltz car on the 11. He's driving away. Tyler Murray pulling up on him a little bit. We go towards the front of the pack, and I mean, it's the same Eric Schaefer in third. Brandon Banks in fourth. Cody Kinsey in fifth. Cody Kinsey. Let's talk about this paint scheme. Randy Pepper, who drove this paint scheme? You better get this right.
What is it? Amico?
Yeah, who drove this? This specific one.
This is going to go back.
I can tell you right now if you want me to tell you.
No, let me think about that for a second. I'm thinking Steve Kinzer, but I think he had Quaker State. I don't think he ran this Amico. I don't know. Go ahead, tell me.
Are you ready?
Yeah, go for it.
Shauna Robinson.
Oh my gosh, the old truck driver. Let's talk about Shauna for a second because you'll love this story. So years ago, we were in a nightclub, me and a buddy of mine, George. We were in this club, and this girl starts hitting on George. So George and this girl, Shauna, decided to go out in the parking lot and have a little romp in the hay out in the parking lot. And at that time, George, said, what do you do for a living? And she said, I'm a truck racer. Well, truck racer back then wasn't the trucks, the NASCAR trucks. These were physically like 18-wheeler trucks, like just the front part of an 18-wheeler. And they would race these giant semi-trucks around tracks. And that's what she started out doing that. And that was the first time I ever met Shauna Robinson, was her from sleeping with my buddy in a bar in Daytona Beach, and she was down here trying to make her way into the NASCAR ranks. So I guess back in those days, she was kind of a promiscuous little tramp. She was super nice. She was good looking. She really was. She's probably the best looking NASCAR driver we've ever had. Although
so the 93 was
Haley
also,
Deegan's pretty good looking too.
Oh my, Randy!
Just saying.
The car that Shauna Robinson drove was of this generation of paint scheme, but it was the black Amico logo with Ultimate under it on the hood. You know who else drove that paint scheme? Dave Blaney.
No. Dave Blaney? Oh, that's right. Dave Blaney did drive that car. Yes. You are correct. I do remember that.
Finished second twice in that car.
Yes, he did. I remember that now.
It was like a feel-good story.
Didn't Shauna Robinson actually have a car that had like carrot top on the hood?
Hold on one second. I believe you're right. Let me take a look. Shauna Robinson drove a plethora of cars over the years.
It was a 49 car. She ran the 40. It was a 49.
The BAM machine.
The BAM machine, yes. BAM Racing.
BAM
She
Racing
took over for Ken Schrader. I think Ken Schrader drove that car first, and then she took over for him.
Ken Schrader took over for Shauna.
Okay, vice versa. All right, so I knew there was a connection there between the two of them.
When she raced the car, they were driving Dodges. When Kenny raced the car, they were driving Toyotas.
Toyota.
Don't forget about Schwann.
Swan, yes, that was the other
Swan.
sponsor.
We had Aaron's on that car at one point. I mean, the 93 went through some beautiful paint schemes. Some of the best paint schemes. And, it's like that's the great thing about NASCAR. You think about it, and now we're going down the paint schemes route. I love paint schemes. This is a good route to go down for the last 3 laps of this stage.
Okay, let's talk about that real quick. Back in the day, now, guys will have 4 or 5 different paint schemes throughout the season. Back in the good old days, a guy showed up. He had that same paint scheme the whole entire season.
Well, you know why? A little bit of history. You know why?
Money, for one.
Not just money. The painters would threaten to quit.
Because they had to physically.
Because you actually painted the cars back then. So, historically, we all thought, woo, that was close.
Wow.
My goodness, it was almost trouble for Joe Sanchez.
Yeah.
Back in the day, Jeff Gordon's scheme, we can all agree, the Rainbow Warrior car was one of the most, if not the most, beautiful paint scheme in NASCAR history. Without a shadow of a doubt, right? Zach Wilson just blew the chicane at a stop.
Big time.
With that being said, Hendrick Motorsports went through 2 painters in the season of 95 when Jeff Gordon was a rookie. You know why? Because they didn't want to paint that damn car.
Yeah.
That thing took hours. And then Jeff would go out there as a rookie, and it would be one of 2 things with Jeff Gordon when he was a rookie.
It was the end of that stage, second caution.
That's 2 laps early. That's interesting. Okay. Joe Sanchez wins stage 2 here. Dominant fashion again for Joe Sanchez. Zach Wilson needs to stop those little mistakes, and I think he's going to have something for him. But while we get the field all stacked back up here, and where the caution was called, he's going to have to come all the way around to pick the pace car up. So we got another lap of caution, so it's going to be at least till lap 43. When they painted those cars, the Jeff Gordon cars were ridiculous to paint. Jeff Gordon's team was one of the first to move to decal-applied graphics. The base coats on Hendrick Motorsports cars are still painted on.
Yeah, most of the cars are base at least have a base.
Yes. Do you know the last hand-painted NASCAR Cup Series vehicle for Hendrick Motorsports? Do you know which paint scheme that was?
Probably that the Budweiser car that Ricky Craven ran, or
no, the Power of Pride cars from Jimmy Johnson.
Wow.
Now Dale Jr. Here's a funny story about Dale Jr. too when it comes to paint schemes. Do you ever hear the story about Dale Jr. and his contract negotiations with Rick Hendrick?
Yeah, started when he was just a little kid.
So Rick Hendrick's contract negotiations with Dale Earnhardt Jr. were pretty interesting, so to speak. They weren't normal. They were different. They weren't normal at all. So Dale Jr. did not care about the money because he had more money than he could ever think to use by the time he went to HMS. He wanted to win. The first and most important thing for Dale Jr., though, was his car always had to look good. They were doing the negotiations. They were sitting down. This is a story he told in this podcast, so if you've heard it before, bear with me. Sitting down at a table doing the negotiations, and Rick slides him over a piece of a pen with some money, right? With a piece of paper with a figure on it. Dale doesn't look at it. He says, "I don't care about that. Deal with Kelly with that." Dale goes, "I want one thing. I want the rocker panels to be painted the color of the car." And Rick goes, "What do you mean?" He goes, "If the rocker panel is painted the color of the car and the rocker matches the car, it looks better. I don't want no black rockers. I don't want no white rockers. I don't want no yellow rockers. I want painted the color of the car." The most important thing to Dale Jr. in his negotiations with Rick Hendrick was the color of the rocker panels. Other guys would be out there going, "I want to be the number one guy. I want the best equipment. I want to be paid $10 million a year. I want to be the A guy that you completely put this team and you market me around." Nope, not Dale Jr. Paint the rocker panels on my car. That's a racer.
Funny. That's funny.
That's a
really
racer.
funny. Yeah, no doubt. Looking back through the field, if you look at some of these cars as we're under caution and stuff, we see some cars actually look like old Winston modifieds.
Are you talking about? You talking about? Hold on, I know it's what you're talking about. You're talking about Dylan Hastings?
There's just one. Now he's not the only one. Yeah, there's a couple more out there as well. Just kind of like reminiscent of 1985.
Hold on, I'll find it.
Modified.
I know which one you're talking about. I saw it. I just gotta find it.
I think it was the 62.
There it is. It's Stephen Ayers. Look at that. It's the 1982 NASCAR machine.
Yep.
Hey, folks, you don't see that anymore in NASCAR, but in 2006, 2007, that was a normal occurrence.
Yeah.
And it was usually that car too, because it was Rusty Wallace's son, Stephen or Brendan Gaughan, always wrecking the machine in the Xfinity Series.
Speaking of Brendan Gaughan, actually, we won some money from Brendan last night. We were in the airport at Las Vegas International Airway, and my wife actually hit for $120 in the airport. And every one of those machines actually are owned by the Brendan Gaughan family. So thank you, Brendan. I appreciate it.
Brendan Gaughan he's a great guy. He's a great guy.
He's a great guy. I always enjoy seeing Brendan and catching up with him.
What's the name of his casino?
The South Point Casino. That's it.
South Point Casino.
South Point Casino. It's actually all the fun all under one roof.
The South Point Casino 300 or 400 at Las Vegas.
Yep. It's great. I mean, really, if you are in Vegas and you don't want to stay right down on the strip, you want to stay the north end of the strip, go down and check out, the South Point Casino, because it is a great place to stay.
Can I just make a suggestion?
What do you got there?
Just don't stay in Las Vegas.
No, I love Las Vegas. I'm
sorry.
Las Vegas.
When I walk down the street and I can smell the venereal diseases in the air, I don't like
No. That is when you are down. Yeah, sure. If you go down towards the Golden Nugget and all that stuff, yeah, you're going to smell all that stuff because there's nothing but a bunch, circus. There's a bunch of druggies and bums all down there. But
it's like Daytona Beach.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like Daytona. But where South Point is, he's at the far end of the strip, the other side, the exact opposite direction of, the Golden Nugget and all that stuff down there, or the riffraff. What Brendan Gaughan and his family have done there, I mean, you've got a Steak and Shake in there. You've got a 16 movie plex. You've got a wonderful steakhouse in there. You've got cool nightclub. All this stuff all under one roof. And I can't say enough about staying at South Point. I've stayed there several times. Not that it's free or anything, but it is. But it's just a great place to stay. It really is a lot of fun. It's one of my favorite places to stay. I mean, we did stay at the Luxor last time we were out there because that was free as well. But I enjoy the South Point way more. One of my funniest stories of Brendan actually he was the guy that coined me the best guitar player in the NASCAR garages. But the funny story about him is him telling me not to go to the Palomino Club ever again because he didn't want to see me die. So if you're in Vegas, if you've ever been to Vegas and you know where the Palomino Club is, Mr. Randy decided to check out the Palomino Club one night. And talk about a bad part of town. That's it. Right across the street from Jerry's Nugget. All right, so the pace car has picked up the field, and we are 2x2 getting ready to go back to Green Flag Racing in the last stage tonight. We're in the third stage of the night. Sanchez has dominated from the drop of the green flag over Wilson. Wilson, right now, it shows that Wilson actually is leading, but I don't believe that is correct. We'll see. I don't know if they decide to swap spots here. I'm not really. No, Wilson did beat him out. Pace car still pulling them around. If you've never been to Charlotte, this is another cool town to go, especially if you're a NASCAR fan. All the shops are around Charlotte Motor Speedway. The best one, I have to admit, I mean, the Hendrick Motorsports is my favorite to go to. Not that I'm a
are we talking
Hendrick
about
fan, but I'm just saying the whole complex, Hendrick Motorsports, is a wonderful place.
Okay, if I had to pick a place, I'm a historian. RCR, when they have the Dale Earnhardt side of the place open.
Well, yeah,
The Living
that's not
Shrine
in Charlotte. That's actually out in Kannapolis.
Kannapolis, yes.
Yeah.
The Living Shrine that Richard has to Dale is amazing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I love it. And all the pieces that Dale Jr. has loaned for Richard to put there. People don't realize a lot of the stuff that Richard has there belongs to Dale.
Yep.
Because Dale has gone out, and Dale said it on his podcast. When his dad died, he didn't want to be near any of that stuff. He got rid of it. And now he regrets that. He wants all of it back. So if you have Dale Earnhardt memorabilia, get in touch with Dale Jr.
Yeah.
He's paying top dollar. And the green flag waves. Zach Wilson now your leader. Joe Sanchez now the chaser. We got 25 to go here at the beautiful Charlotte Roval. And let's see if Zach Wilson can hold off Joe Sanchez, who's finally leading for the first time tonight.
Well, we know one thing with Wilson. He has not been anywhere near as consistent on the track as Sanchez. I mean, we saw Wilson blow quite a few turns. Not, the one in the chicane was one, but we saw him blow turn 17.
Oh, Eric Schaefer almost lost it out of 7.
Look at this. But, you see with Wilson leading, you actually got the guys behind them. They're actually able to keep up. Schaefer's not too far back behind there. As far as Banks and Kinsey, they're all back there as well. They're keeping up. Where Sanchez was in a whole nother zip code. And we're watching Wilson. Wilson's actually turning some good times right now.
I think Joe might be saving his stuff.
He might be. Because this is a longer run than the previous 2 runs.
Oh, hard late in the brakes for the 55 there through the front stretch chicane. Pops the left front up in the air pretty big. Down in a 1. See if he can gain on the 17. 17 really wide through 1. Set him up really well for 2, but not good for 1. The 55 gains a ton of time through turns 1, now 2, now 3 here. Through 3, down the hill into 4, continuing down the hill towards 5. We come back up the hill down the short stretch to 5. Up the hill through 5. Now down the hill continuing up the hill turns towards 6. The crest of the hill at 6. Now down the hill to turn 7. Into the apex here at 7. The 55 all over the 17. Now through turn 8 to the left at the bottom of the hill. Up into turn 9. And now off into turn 10.
Wilson's doing a heck of a job holding off Sanchez, but like you said, he may be sitting back there saving his stuff for later on in the race.
Yeah, through 11, 12,
laps.
and 13 now. You see Jack Wilson actually able to drive away a little bit through 14. Now into 15, 16. Somehow I lost 2 corners. All right, this is in the 19 and 20 here in the front stretch. Oh, big time the 55 went up in the air. Let's go on board and see if we can see where he's losing time to the car in front of him now through 1 and 2. So now into 2, you see he's gaining a bunch of time now. Through turn 2, now into turn 3. into 4 down the hill. See, the apex here is at the bottom of a hill, Randy. That's really tough on the car. Up the hill to turn 5, which starts up the hill. So you hit 5. Now you're in 6. He's off the track at 6, though. Way wide through 6. Now 7. Down the left-hander into 8. Now into turn 9. And then 10 and 11 right here. He's lost a lot of time this time. Now into 13, 14, 15, 16. He's lost a lot of time to Zach. Now 19 and 20, Randy. I mean, he's losing a ton of time. So Zach Wilson's way up on the track. Zach Wilson hit the double curb stay range. You see that? Randy. Randy. Did I lose Randy Pepper? I might have lost Randy Pepper, folks. Hold on. Randy. I think I might have lost some Randy Pepper.
I'm back. Sorry.
Okay.
I had to actually go make myself another margarita with El Bandito Yankee Tequila. So I had to give them a little plug there for a second.
You had to go get yourself some El Bandito Yankee Tequila?
Yes, absolutely.
Where's mine?
Well,
you don't get
know.
to bring that into the booth and not give me any.
Well, I only had one bottle. One bottle only goes so far. You know, I found something out about the El Bandito people this past week, and let me find this information so you can, because you'll know one of the owners. Since you're a hockey guy.
I'm listening.
All right, let me hold on a second here. Let me see. Let me find this, and I will give it to you, and you'll love this. You'll go, what? No way. As you're watching Wilson. Wilson actually is pulling away.
Yeah, Zach Wilson is driving away.
I'm actually shocked at that. Are you?
A little.
Yeah, I'm actually. I didn't expect to see that at all. I'm having to go through all his meat. Here we go. Let's see. I'm looking here for you, sir. Sorry.
I'm waiting.
I know. It's hard to find actually on the site. It's not as easy as it was the other night. I found it with no problem. I have met the Jim Bob Morris, who played for the NFL and the XFL as well. But no, his partner is Chris Chelios.
Chris Chelios.
Yeah.
Former Detroit Red Wings defenseman.
Yep, that's it. Yep. That's who. That's one of the partners in the El Bandito guys. I have not met him yet. I've only met Jim Bob. And Jim Bob played for several NFL teams. So it's owned by a couple, athletes.
I like Terramana.
Terramana? What's that?
Terramana tequila.
I don't know. I've never had
It's owned
that.
by The Rock.
Oh, yes, the rock stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
That's,
Well, we've got 3 seconds between our leaders. We'll give you a little bit more of a history lesson here. Randy Pepper. You know what else new NASCAR fans don't know about? The state of the Truck Series.
going back in time and coming back full circle.
Going back in time and coming back full circle. They don't know anything about the Truck Series. Like, nothing. The new NASCAR fans do not. I don't think they'd understand what the Truck Series originally was.
It was really supposed to be its own entity. And
It was
and
also a
kinda-
copy of the Cup Series.
Yeah.
Like the DuPont Chevy was in there. The GM Goodwrench Chevy was out
Goodwrench,
there.
yeah. Skinner
The
had
Kodak
old-
Chevy. Yeah. The
Yep.
Kodiak Ford. I mean, it was literally carbon copy paint schemes.
Yep.
You
Ray
go
Bestis
back.
was on truck.
Yeah, we had a Ray Bestis number 5. HMS owned trucks. I know, I can't believe it's saying it now because the last time they owned a truck was with Chase Elliott. But, yeah, HMS owned trucks. Richard Childress owned trucks. Dale Earnhardt owned trucks.
Roush.
Richard Childress owned trucks right up until 06. I mean, really, if you look back at it, Randy, like 06, 07 was really the death of the Truck Series, in my opinion. When it's different. It's not dead, but it's just way different now.
It's way different. I mean, it definitely was a whole nother entity of itself, you know, with the same players, but different. I mean, a lot of people don't realize that Kyle Petty was a Roush driver.
Kyle
years
Petty
ago.
was a championship
Or not
contender.
Kyle Petty, but Kyle Busch.
No, but Kyle Petty was a championship contender in the Xfinity Series for a bit.
Yeah.
Kyle Busch won, I think, a couple races in the Truck Series, 40 or 50 of them.
Yeah.
Greg Biffle was a Truck Series champ. That's how the Biff got his start. Racing trucks. Greg Biffle never drove in the Xfinity Series.
No, he went straight from
He went from trucks to Cup.
Yep. And the same thing with Carl.
Carl
The
went
same
from
thing.
trucks to Cup.
Yeah,
That's
he
what
ran the
Roush
99
used to
truck.
do. Roush used to do that a lot. It was trucks to Cup. He
Yep.
didn't really give a crap about the Xfinity Series. He had Xfinity drivers, but they was Trevor Bayne, and it was, guys, Ron Hornaday, guys who never made it. He had the guys in the Truck Series. Those were his guys. I mean, Matt Kenseth was in the Xfinity Series for a bit. But Matt also, I think Matt drove a truck for a little bit for Jack, and then he came to the Cup Series. And, it's Matt Crafton. I mean, these guys were all there back then. But, I mean, the only one really left from the original era is, Ron Hornaday was the only one left from the original era. He retired in, 11?
Yeah, he's been gone for a while now.
So the original era died, and I'd say 11, it really ended. But, again, like nowadays they race on Thursdays or Fridays, and you see them, they come in on Wednesdays. Hell, back in the early 2000s, those guys would show up on Mondays.
Yeah, they used to run Wednesday nights. That was their time.
They'd come in on Mondays, and again, you'd have, practice Tuesday, qualifying Tuesday, race on Wednesday. But before that, you'd have their practice, and then after their practice would be an ARCA race or a modified race or a K&N race. And a lot of the times the trucks were overshadowed by K&N or the ARCA series because the races were better because the trucks were kind of bleh. They were really unsafe. I mean, we had a bunch of heavy crashes in the 90s with the trucks. A lot of guys lost their lives in trucks.
Yeah, I mean, do you remember the Jeff Bodine crash at Daytona where the truck was totally destroyed?
The one where Benny Parsons said on national television very quietly to Alan Bestwick, he's dead. Yeah, that one?
Yeah.
And I have no idea how he got out of that truck. I have no idea how he got out of that
Nope.
truck with
Me neither.
both legs, both arms, and a head still attached. And then Dale Earnhardt dies 3 years later in a much simpler looking crash.
Oh, yeah, just like a pop into the
I have
wall
no
easy.
idea. I have no idea how Jeff Bodine survived that. But then you look at all the guys who didn't. Like, to get where they are now in the Truck Series. Like, the Cup Series. People said the Cup Series was really dangerous. We didn't have that many deaths in the Cup Series. We had a few here and there. I mean, Neil Bonnet jumps out at you. Dale Earnhardt jumps out at you. Adam Petty. Those guys jump out at you. But you go back to the Truck Series. I mean, the first 3 years of the Truck Series, it was littered with them.
Wow, Wilson almost got into the 45.
Yeah, he almost did. He definitely did. Put him a lap down.
Out. Yeah.
But it was littered with fatalities in the mid 90s to late 90s. There was conversations to stop the Truck Series because of those.
Yeah, they were pretty dangerous at one point for sure. Smoke in front of the leader there, I don't know who that was. But anyway, 16 laps left to go. Wilson leading by over 2.5 seconds now. What a swap of the coin. Wow. Sanchez was so dominant, and now Wilson looks like he's the next greatest thing. But at the right moment. I think Sanchez can catch him. He's actually, he's starting to reel him in now. So maybe Sanchez is starting to turn up the wick here and try to catch Wilson.
We forget about, John Nemechek, but that kid, he had a hell of a future ahead of him.
Oh, yeah, he did.
And Tony Roper.
Met the wall. Yeah, Tony Roper's another one.
It was pretty dangerous.
The reason there's a track in Homestead. Because Homestead, originally, people don't realize it was a mini version of Indianapolis, Raceway.
Yeah, it was Metro-Dade Homestead Miami Speedway.
Yeah. There's a flat track. There wasn't much banking at all.
No, it was
around the track.
It was dangerous. It was a very dangerous racetrack.
Yep.
Cart used to race there. It was a 4-turn rectangular oval. It looked just like Indy.
Yeah, it was Indy. Yeah.
It doesn't help that Carl Fisher created both tracks.
Yeah.
But it was.
Why they even tried to do that? That was.
I mean, it was the angles for some of those crashes were really severe, though. I mean, it was flat. And the problem is that John Nemechek died after they tried to fix it. So they tried to fix it in '96 by widening the corners, and it just made it worse. He ended up passing away in March of '97. It's just I don't know. It's nuts. It's nuts.
Wilson is trying to reel in our leader. Wilson
he is. He's coming.
Reeled in by Sanchez.
He is coming.
I would love to see him get up there with 5 to go. We got a really good race here. Because the rest of the field is pretty much spread out.
Yeah, there's not a lot of battles going on around this track.
No, there's not.
There's a kind of battle here, but it's not anything to write home about. There's kind of a battle here, but again, it's nothing to write home about right now.
No.
The battle is going to be up here. I think Zach might have ripped through his tires.
And you said that earlier. You said Sanchez may be saving something.
Well, the problem is like you get out there, you get in the lead, you get into a certain mindset, right? You get into the mindset of I need to drive as hard as I can to get away from this guy because I know how dang fast he is. But that puts you in a bad spot because you're driving too dang fast. You can't win. You'll never win when you get into a situation of I have to try to think of how to drive faster than the guy behind me. So you put yourself in a bad spot.
Yeah. Now the lead has kind of stabilized. It looks like Wilson is, well, no. Actually, there he has gained a tick there.
Hey, Randy.
Yes.
Do you want to go down the sports scores like we used to when we did road courses?
Yeah, go for it.
It's a quiet night in the NHL. Only almost every single team playing tonight. This evening in the beautiful National Hockey League on the wonderful Tuesday, November the 8th, the Arizona Coyotes able to come on top, go to Buffalo, and win 4-1 on goals from Veshmika and Keller. Keller helped them get that win out there. Back in Calgary, Calgary traveled to New Jersey, fell to the New Jersey Devils 3-2. Nico Hischier with a goal there to help them get a big win in New Jersey. The Islanders and the Rangers in the Battle of Long Island. The Islanders were able to come out on top tonight with a 4-3 victory. Down in St. Louis, Jordan Binnington puts in another terrible performance with a loss to the Philadelphia Flyers, 5-1 in Philadelphia. In Ottawa, Vancouver traveled well with a 6-4 win off of goals by Bo Horvat and Seth Martin. A 6-4 Vancouver Canucks win here tonight improves Vancouver's record through the season. Vegas traveled to Toronto, and in a game that went to overtime, Riley Smith, your game-winning goal, makes it a 4-3 overtime win for the Vegas Golden Knights. Down in Detroit, Motor City, they went to a shootout. Jared Allen and not Jared Allen, sorry. Nick Suzuki with a big goal out there. Two goaltenders standing on their head between the Montreal Canadiens and the Detroit Red Wings. Detroit comes out on the losing end with Montreal 3-2 in the shootout. We get on to Tampa Bay. Randy Pepper, this is your one. Okay, ready? Edmonton travels to Tampa Bay. Edmonton comes home. Connor McDavid, 2 goals, 3-2 win Edmonton Oilers. Currently in progress right now in the second period, the Winnipeg Jets up 5-1 over the Dallas Stars, and the Seattle Kraken. Nashville has traveled to Seattle. It's a 1-0 lead for Seattle currently, and the game that starts at 10:30 on ESPN Plus, the ESPN Plus specific game of the evening. The Minnesota Wild travel to Los Angeles to face the Los Angeles Kings, where the Minnesota Wild are heavily favored to come away with a big win there tonight. We look at what that does to the standings in the NHL. Well, it's pretty simple. The New Jersey Devils continue to take the lead in their division. They go up 10-3 now on the season, 20 points to the 9-5 New York Islanders, who came away with a big win. The New York Rangers fall to just one game above 500 with their loss tonight. The Philadelphia Flyers lose their first game at home in regulation. We look back at the Atlantic Division. The Boston Bruins sit atop 11-2, have the night off, but Detroit moves into second with that big win, 7-3 with 3 overtime losses for the Detroit Red Wings. Losing in overtime in a shootout was important for them tonight. Montreal comes to 500 with their win. We go down the list here. Edmonton sitting in third in their division, 8-6, 2 games above 500 now. Seattle and Vegas, the two newest teams in the NHL, sit atop the Pacific Division, with Vegas 12-2 and Seattle 7-4. Seattle trying to leave tonight 8-4. See if they can do that in their game tonight. And the Minnesota Wild, they need a big win. They're 5-5. The LA Kings 7-6-1. One of these teams tonight is going to leave either at 500 or below 500, Randy Pepper. And that is your rundown of the NHL here in Ghost Fire Media.
Sorry, Bob. Let's go back and look at our third place runner
Eric
right
Schaefer?
now. We haven't said a lot about Schaefer, but he's
I
just
love
kind
that
of back
paint
there
scheme.
by himself. Yeah, it's a great looking car.
It's a champion, Randy. Champion. Champion spark plugs. My goodness. I haven't put champion spark plugs in a car in a long time, and I never will again. This is champion power equipment, though. This isn't champion spark plugs.
Yeah,
Never mind.
this is not spark plugs. It's a different logo.
It's not. I thought of champion. I was like, no, I'm not putting champion in my car. No,
And
thank
you.
you.
Can see Schaefer's, he's trying to reel in Sanchez, but he's so far back. He's 18 seconds. I mean, Sanchez and Wilson just kind of checked out on the field, and Wilson now is starting to build his lead over second place Sanchez. I think Sanchez actually burnt his stuff up trying to catch Wilson.
Yeah, I think that's Zach Wilson He played the long game tonight. He did I'm going to learn behind Joe Sanchez. He's got 10 laps to go. It's still a little over 22 miles. But Joe Sanchez may not have it for Zach Wilson tonight. It'll be the only Zach Wilson that can actually do what he does right in his sport, because the Zach Wilson in the NFL sucks.
Oh, boy.
Speaking of sucks,
What?
All Elite Wrestling blows.
Why is that?
It's just not good.
It's a matter of opinion, my friend. Matter of opinion.
I like AEW. I don't know. They can't.
They can't keep people from getting hurt. That's one problem. And I mean, I love having like Joe be in the Ring of Honor champion. I mean, or actually, no, it's Chris Jericho's the champion, but you've got the, I think it's open weight that Joe holds. And then you got Joe with Wardlow as a tag team. Wardlow, really, I mean, he's... Whoa! Man, watching Schaefer driving, he's overdriving like crazy. But, no, I like Wardlow. He's come a long ways from a guy that was really, really green. Now he's looking real good.
Speaking of green, Logan Paul looked amazing.
Logan Paul has some definite talent. There's no doubt about it.
That was a hell of a match against Roman.
Yeah. He's actually,
Also,
I mean...
when is Randy coming back?
Who knows? I haven't heard anything about Randy Orton in a long time.
I'm just worried about him.
Probably come back just in time for him to retire.
Because I know for a fact
I'm not a big Orton fan.
Well, I know for a fact he's not done.
No, he's not done. And, you know, it used to be a year ago, all these guys, you know, were thinking, you know, I'm tired of this WWE thing. I can't take this anymore. Vince is running this thing to the ground. And now Vince is out. Hunter's in there. The whole thing is a switcheroo. Now everybody from AEW wants to go to WWE to work for Hunter. So.
Well, here's the thing. People give Hunter a lot of crap. They really do. They give Hunter a lot of crap for the golden shovel and all that. But, I mean, Hunter knows how to book TV.
Hunter's a wrestler.
Hunter knows how to book TV. And Hunter doesn't give a damn about the sponsors.
No. He's, you know, the thing about Hunter is he relates to his audience, and that's the big thing that a lot of people don't realize. You have to relate to your audience when you're doing any type of entertaining. And that's exactly what he's done, and he's done a phenomenal job at it. I mean, are all the matches on WWE great? No. There's been some really stinkers. I mean, and there's, you know, you've got the tag team champions in the women's division. Dakota Kai. I mean, she's not ready to be there. She's still not. Her and Io Sky, no. They're still very green. But he's giving them, you know, a chance because they kind of look and relate to their audience. So.
Well, that's the thing, right? Hunter's the guy who in the 90s told these guys, go get over and you'll get a spot. And I think that's what he's telling. And he's given the people the opportunity to, you know, go grab the brass horn, grab the brass ring, grab it by the nuts and take it.
Yep.
You be you. You show that you got this and you'll get a shot. And when you get that shot, it'll be yours.
Yeah, but that's he started out with the NXT, which was on tonight, and really took that to a third brand in the WWE umbrella. And I for a long time I wasn't even watching WWE. I was watching NXT because I thought the product was so much better. It's real wrestling.
Oh, Hunter was doing it. Hunter, I hope he puts Johnny over like he did in NXT. I hope we get these guys. There's got to be plans to get that belt off Roman, and the number one thing they got to do is split that belt. They need a title for both shows. They can't have one-on-one guy.
No, and
it's Roman Reigns can handle it. John Cena can handle it. Brock Lesnar can handle it. There's no young guys right now that can handle both those belts.
No, and you saw what they did with Austin Theory last night. He cashed in the Money in the Bank and then lost. He tried to, capitalize on Seth Rollins. And, obviously Hunter saw the truth, but, with Austin Theory, that he's not a main event guy. He's a mid-carder at best. And, he took the belt off him and, now he'll shovel down the card. Actually, Big E Langsley, Big E, was at Phoenix this past week.
Yeah, but when Big E comes back, his time's over to be at the top. It's over.
I love the guy.
He'll never get back there, unfortunately.
No, but I love that guy. I think he's a great speaker. His one-liners are great.
Him and
I love the
Kofi
guy.
Are the perfect examples of one-time champions that did exactly what they were meant to do, which was get over with the crowd, do their thing, get their opportunity.
Yep.
They did that. They both made perfect use of their opportunities. They'll go down in history as two of the funniest world champions. But Big E was not the best run.
No, Big E.
It's hard to be a babyface and be a champion.
Yeah, it is very hard. We got 5 laps to go. Wilson is just running away from this thing. Now he's
10 miles, sorry.
Yeah. 10 miles.
Coming to 4 to go, so it'll be 8.5.
2.5 seconds ahead of Sanchez. That's another 19 seconds back to Schaefer.
He lost a half a second that lap
Banks.
to Sanchez, but I just don't think it's enough.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that Jesse Prize was not better because he was actually very fast in practice, and during this race he's pretty much been nothing. He's fifth place. But that's the best he's done. I'm actually shocked he wasn't any better. I guess he improves. I think it's one lap is one thing, but running 67 laps is another. Wow, Wilson.
Yeah, 100%.
Early.
I agree. But yeah, being a champion, a babyface title run is hard. It's much easier to book a heel.
Oh yeah.
Because when you book a babyface, you got to keep him likable. How do you keep a guy who's winning all the time likable?
You don't, and that's why Roman, they finally gave him the run at being a heel. And look what he did with it.
Been champion for 1,000 days or some ridiculousness like that.
Super long. He's running it old school like the old NWA when you had champions that would hold on to the belt for
and the thing
years.
is that he's not faltering. He's oh my goodness!
Oh!
Holy hell!
The 56 bull nearly took the leader out.
Holy hell!
That was drama. Look at that. We actually had some drama.
My good Lord. I think I would have lost my marbles. That would have been the living end of me. I would have been, oh my God, Randy. I don't know what I would have done there.
If I was Wilson, I would have been going, I got to slow down.
Yeah.
I'll let Sanchez catch up a little bit. I know even if I slow down that much, he's still not going to catch me.
No, not at
But
all.
I'm not going to take myself out because some guy's trying to turn around in the middle of the track.
It's bad timing for that gentleman to spin out.
Yeah.
It's 2.5 laps to go here at the Charlotte Roval. The 17 of Zach Wilson's dominated the third and final stage. He's led every single lap of the third and final stage. Coming to 2 laps to go here at the Charlotte Roval. Me and Randy Pepper have brought you through a heck of a lot of history tonight. Some wrestling talk, some NASCAR and football talk.
NHL.
And we brought you down the scores in the NHL. Brought you around the field a couple of times. We talked to you about why I think this track has 20 corners instead of 11, or 17 as NASCAR says. I'm probably wrong. It's fine. Watkins
Maybe in
Glen,
the
I hate
off-season, maybe we
the
can get Justin Allgaier come in here and take us a lap around this thing.
That would be cool. I can't afford Justin Allgaier, though.
I talked to him the other day. Talked to him before he ran the Xfinity race.
If
Give
you
him a
can
little
get Justin
attaboy.
Allgaier to come in here and chat with us for 5 minutes, I'll need a little bit I'll just need some time.
I'll reach out to him. I'll see.
I'll be flabbergasted.
Yeah, hey, we started the night with Pat Patterson. The racing guy was on here. So,
I got to get his phone number from you.
Pat? We'll see if Pat will give you the phone number. Yeah, I don't know if we can get Pat. I don't know if I can. Pat's going to give up the old S&P Resort phone number.
Hey, I gotta get Pat's phone number from you. I feel like me and Pat would we could have some very interesting conversations. Me and Pat.
Oh, I'm sure you could. You would probably like the Pat's the racing guy channel on YouTube.
I
He's
love
got
it.
Yeah, so he's got his whole thing, and he's doing his whole going back to the days when he was with TNN and several other different things. He started this out. His wife Shauna posts a video every week, and
One
good stuff.
final time through the infield. Now back onto the NASCAR oval. Through
it.
NASCAR 1 and 2. What they call 5 and 6, I think, here. I call 11 and 12. 13, 14, 15, 16 here.
Look at it. Sanchez is falling off 7/10.
Yeah, he's 8 seconds back. He had some issues in the center of the track there. Through 18 for the final time. Zach Wilson through 19, now into 20. Zach Wilson's going to win at the Roval.
There it is.
Joe Sanchez will come through, come home second at the Roval.
After dominating 2 stages earlier.
And Eric Schaefer, he'll come home third, but the battle's back here. Cody Kinsey, he ran through the chicane. We had a heck of a battle. And it's ended.
Just like that. Fourth and 13th back there was actually a pretty good battle.
Well, we're looking at the battle right now for 15th position. This is going to come down to the wire.
Kevitt back there in that 76.
Grenier, Kevitt might be able to put something together. Dylan Hastings might be able to put something on Kevitt. Into the final corner. Here we go into 20. Are they going to make contact? They're going to touch the 7 into the wall. They made contact. And Dylan Hastings had nothing to get, nothing to lose. He comes home 16th. That was a heck of a finish.
Yeah, Dylan almost got the wall there, but he just kept it off. He figured he's already had enough part of the wall. Tonight didn't need any more modified racing around the
All right,
Charlotte
let's see
Roval.
who is still on the track. I'm going to pull in our second place finisher, Joe Sanchez. Where be he?
Third place finisher. No, second. Yeah, Sanchez is second.
Joe, it's Nick and Randy in the booth. You got a copy?
Yep.
Oh, congratulations, on a heck of a race. Dominated the first two stages. A pit stop. Was it a pit stop error that lost you the lead, or was it just entering your pit box?
It's the first gear here and the first pit box here. You can't get up to speed before the line even starts, so that's what really lost me the race. And then not really taking a full tank of fuel there, I couldn't turn, so it just got way too tight. And I just had to get off the throttle too much into the middle of the corner, so that pretty much, ruined all my speed.
It looked like you were trying really, really hard there towards the middle of that last run, smoking the tires quite a few times, trying to catch up to Wilson. And at one point, you got within a second and a half, or actually a little less than that. And then after that, then you just kind of fell back. Were you over driving it, or what was going on?
No, the lighter fuel load was putting different, I guess, brake pressure on, so I had to unfortunately back up my corners a few times. So I think I just drove it in a little deep, but some of the lap cars were just getting in the way at the wrong time, and kind of trying to race you into the corner for some reason. But good day. Second kind of stings, but we'll go after them for next time.
Yeah, I would say it has to sting because you were dominant those first two stages. 15 seconds ahead of Wilson on one of the stages. And then to come back, then you lose by 2.5. That's got to sting a little bit.
Yeah.
So, well, all right, Joe. Congratulations on second place tonight, and we will see you next week, man.
Thank you.
All right, now our winner, Zach Wilson. Zach, it's Nick and Randy in the booth. You got a copy?
What's up, guys?
Oh, howdy do, sir. First off, congratulations. You were able to combat those mistakes you made the first couple of times you got near Joe. And in the third stage, you were able to take the victory. How did it feel out there tonight?
It felt fantastic. I knew we had a quick car tonight, and Joe was fast as well. I just wanted to make sure I didn't continue to make those mistakes. A couple big ones there in stage 1 and stage 2. I just was getting a little over anxious and should have just kept on the pace that we were going, and we would have been just fine. But ultimately, it worked out in the end. Had a pretty clutch pit stop there at the end of stage 2 that got me control of the restart, and we just set sail after that.
Those first two stages, you're just kind of sitting back there and looked like you overdrove a couple of those turns and stuff. We're making some little mistakes here. That last stage, you didn't make any mistakes. You actually looked like you were getting a little loose at some stages. And also you had a car wrecked right in front of you with like 3 laps to go. What was going through your mind when you saw that?
Yeah, with about 5 to go, that was really all I was worried about was what could happen with some lap cars. And, it was a bit of a pucker factor moment when I come out of 1 there and saw that car sitting broadside and wasn't exactly sure where it was going to go. But ultimately, it all worked out, and thank goodness they held the brake and we were able to get through there cleanly. I would have hated to lose on something like that. I'd rather just be beat straight up by something, or my mistake, or, just him being faster than getting caught up in someone else's mess.
Right. So are you actually living in Boone right now?
That's where I'm originally from. I live about 45 minutes off the mountain from there, so in a little town called Marion. But I still call Boone home, and Boone's my hometown. I'll own that till the day I die.
And you grew up going to Tweetsie Railroad, did you?
Absolutely.
And the land of Oz.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sounds like you know all about it up there then.
I do, yeah. We had a house up on Boone, so yeah.
Okay. Go App State,
Yeah, absolutely. Love it up there, man. Good times. So, well, congratulations on a first place win tonight on a road course. I know that was a tough one, man. So we will see you next week. You want to thank anybody tonight?
Yeah, just huge shout out to my teammates here at Georgia Peach Racing. This Team Watson Racing setup, Super was on rails tonight, and I was glad we were able to bring home another win for this group. So ultimately a fun night. Thank you guys for putting on a great show, and to everyone at TNR.
All right, man. Congratulations on the win. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Randall.
Yes, Nick.
Let's,
I am ready to get out of here. I'm functioning on 2 hours sleep.
I'm not functioning on much more, so trust me, I
I
feel you.
finally I got to go actually lay down and get a little bit of sleep. I hadn't gone over pretty much 34 hours of no sleep.
Ugh.
So.
Well, we'll get done with this quickly then for you. So your winner tonight, Zach Wilson, second, Joe Sanchez, third, Eric Schaefer, fourth, Brandon Banks, fifth, Jesse Priest, sixth, Brady Cox, seventh, Cody Kinsey, eighth, Richard Swaverly, ninth, Kip Easley, 10th, Charlie Harcum, 11th, Scott Feltz, 12th, Tyler Murray, 13th, Casey Sawch, 14th, Matt Grenier, 15th, Tony Kivett, 16th, Dylan Hastings, 17th, Michael Newbra, 18th, Brad Fulham. We go back to 19th, going to be the 19th, William Tyndall, 20th, Dana Shepard, 21st is going to be, hello?
Huh?
21st, David Brackett. 22nd, Eric Stewart. 23rd, Jacob Denson. 24th, Stephen Ayers. 25th, Ray Rogers. 26th, Jeremy Gibbs. 27th, Kevin Delia. 28th, Jason Hastings. 29th, Brandon Burt. 30th, Robert Rowe.
Robert Roode? No.
Robert Rowe. Glorious. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to let Randy Pepper take us out. But first, I want to thank you all for watching us here at the Charlotte, North Carolina Speedway.
Yeah.
Did I do better that time?
That was a lot better. It was more like Kenny Omega was getting ready to come out.
I'm glad to hear it.
All right, folks, you've been watching another broadcast on the Ghostfire Media Company network, whatever you want to call us. I know we are. Like I said, I am super tired, guys. I'm ready to go to bed.
The Ghostfire Media Wrestling Federation.
I'm so tired. Trust me, I'm lucky. I am awake. I still have to leave here. I'm gonna leave here after I get off. I gotta go to Buc-ee's and get some gas because tomorrow I may not be able to get any gas. So I'm gonna get some gas. We have the hurricane coming our way. So, anyways, all right, guys. All right. You go ahead. You do it. I'm getting out of here. Until next week, guys. Thanks for watching TNR Racing on the Ghostfire Media Network.
Thank you for watching iRacing on the Ghostfire Media Network.